Next up, we've got credit powerhouse Mastercard. They're unveiling their Mastercard crypto Credential, which uses their global network to offer secure and compliant credentialing solutions for crypto wallet providers, including Coins.ph, Mercado Bitcoin, and Wirex. Earlier, we had a chance to talk to Wei Zhou. He's the CEO of Philippines crypto exchange Coins.ph. I asked him how this partnership is a game changer. Tell us a bit about what the Mastercard crypto Credential network is all about, and what's the problem and how is this the solution?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger use cases that we've seen for crypto in the Philippines specifically has been on the remittance side. Philippines, as some of you know, is the fourth largest remittance intaking country in the world, with about $40 billion coming into the country by the 15+ million Filipinos that work globally. And the traditional financial ecosystem have generally been undervalued or not really servicing this group of people that well, with both sort of exorbitant fees in the 5 to 6% range, as well as basically, not really providing, additional financial services on top of, and then given that most of them work in one country, but then where they need financial services is actually in the home country. So what we've sort of are working with Mastercard on through their crypto Credential program is to tap into sort of their network, but to be able to provide onshore financial services in the Philippines. For Coins, we're the first licensed or one of the earliest licensed cryptocurrency exchanges in the Philippines. We have about 4 million registered users, and then we've been sort of the pioneer in the Philippines in terms of enabling remittance through crypto rails. In addition to Mastercard, we also work with Stellar to support USDC sort of remittance on chain to the Philippines. So through this additional crypto Credential program with Mastercard, it basically offers, I think, Mastercard users globally, access points in the Philippines.
Is this with any Mastercard or it's a special card?
So the thing is, right now, I think outside of sort of the traditional card program, I think Mastercard is actually building this thing up to be able to enable, I think, Mastercard services for users. You don't actually have to be a Mastercard holder to be able to tap into this network.
So, wait, I'm trying to understand exactly what's going on, right? Credentialing sounds like an opportunity to create more security and sort of more of a knowledge base that the transactions happening or the people that are involved are who they say they are. Yeah. So how is that helping Coins?
Yeah. So it helps us, I think, is the way sort of two fronts. The credential aspects of it is that given that we're a licensed, our license comes from central bank, so we actually have to perform KYC and AML on all of our users and then all of the transactions. So, and what Mastercard is trying to do is basically trying to build up a network of similar businesses in different regions such that they can enable a new way that money can flow, right? Currently, money flows through traditional fiat rails, right? How money is going to flow in the future is that going to flow on chain, right? In this situation on Stellar, right? But the thing is that as regulated financial institutions in different parts of the world talk to each other, they have to ensure that this guy that I'm servicing, say in the Philippines, isn't going to trigger any, AML rules or isn't going to trigger any regulatory issues, right? So that's, I think, so that's why they're building up this crypto Credential such that they are working with basically trusted parties that basically can then onboard users to basically use this new chain.
And you talk about fees upwards of 5%. So what does this do in terms of reducing those costs?
Yeah. So outside of sort of what we're working with Mastercard, what we're currently working on with Stella is there's a couple of different remittance vendors that like MoneyGram, who I think is speaking here, right? I think for them, they have they currently have service some business in the Philippines, but what they're trying to do is basically swapping out what they're using the banking system to basically using USDC specifically, right, on Stellar Network. So with that, for example, we're enabling something in the UAE such that a corresponding exchange in the UAE called Index, we're going to turn on Stellar USDC on both sides, such that users then can basically onboard into USDC legally through Index in the UAE, and then offboard the USDC legally here in the Philippines. I mean, the fees on that are basically whatever you pay for cost of trading, which is like 10 bips, 20 bips. Right, and then whatever the blockchain transaction fees are. So it's basically, less than 1%. Mm-hmm. So I think there's significant savings, but I think it's not just about the cost aspects of it, but it's also about the speed. Right, a lot of times, it'll take maybe 1 day or 2 days. The proverbial check is in the mail, but this one's pretty much instant. Right. So, so I think what it will enable is, what the goal that we're trying to achieve, I think, as an industry, but also Coins more specifically for our users, is for them to be able to enjoy what I call T plus 0 plus 0.
Uh-huh. So what do you, I mean, I would love to know more about your users. What are you seeing happening behaviorally in the Philippines that this helps to solve the problem for? But also in general, is crypto just growing as an opportunity for users in the Philippines?
Yeah. So in addition to sort of like receiving sort of remittance from outside of the Philippines, one big use case is actually blank to earn. If you remember a couple of years ago, there was a hugely popular Web3 game called Axie Infinity that, at one point, that had like a couple of million people in the country that was actively on that platform. And they would be able to earn, a couple $100 a month, right, from just playing a game. And I think that industry is still alive. It's just that the scale maybe is smaller and the dollar return is maybe smaller, but we still have a very active play to earn community in the Philippines. And then, so it does provide, I think, additional economic opportunities or just additional sources of income. Right. And then another opportunity that we're seeing right now is actually more so, I think, on the DePIN space, which is the decentralized physical infrastructure. So we recently listed a token on Coins where it's a mapping software that you can install on your dashboard, right? Whether it's and what's really unique is that, the roads that's driven by cars, I think, have maybe been mapped out, but roads that gets driven by motorbikes or mopeds aren't really mapped out. So, and that's sort of, maybe a predominantly way where delivery drivers or other types of, transportation vehicles. So we basically are working with, this DePIN company to install, their camera devices on motorbikes to map out the roads better, right? And then the more you map, you can basically swap out for tokens. So you basically like a map to earn kind of a project where actually can map out the roads in more real time. That's maybe more applicable to the local community or the local geography. So I think some of those opportunities are some of the ones that I'm seeing, and I think we're going to see more of those type of projects where tokens get to be used to organize a group of people to do certain things.
Interesting. So I see with this announcement in particular, so you've got Mastercard on one end, and you've got Coins.ph, Mercado Bitcoin, and WireX. So I guess you guys, and you're doing this on Stellar Rails, but you guys are kind of the crypto intermediary.
Yeah. So the way I like to call it is the way to think about it, I think in blockchain terms, is like in the Philippines, think of us as your fiat node. Like we're basically your local fiat node, right? That is, and then typically you need a license, right? Because otherwise, because this fiat node, then you can actually not just onboard users, which are either your users or we can basically move our users to use your services, or you can actually onboard your users to use our services, right? But what's interesting is that we are then also connected into basically the financial infrastructure of the Philippines, right? So you can actually, through our fiat node, you can actually basically get money in and out of banks, get money in and out of payment apps, right? And then get money, spend the money there. So I think that's why I think one of the bigger use cases that I'm seeing, and then I would say Mercado Bitcoin, I think, which is one of the larger licensed exchanges in Brazil. Sort of they're like your fiat node in Brazil, right? So as sort of, from blockchain perspective, you'll need to be connected into these different fiat nodes to actually offer, real world services.
Interesting. And your crypto exchange is specifically aimed at the Philippines. And previously, you were CFO at Binance, which obviously is the largest crypto exchange in the world. And you abruptly left. So I'm wondering, can you tell us a bit about why you decided to leave and transition since then to create a competing exchange specifically targeting the Philippines?
Yeah. So I joined Binance in the summer of 2018, and I was there for 3+ years. Sort of I'm not like your traditional finance and accounting CFO. I was more of like what I call the growth and strategy CFO. So basically did a lot of work in terms of global expansion, went to like 50 plus countries, right? Landing Binance, I think, with a license or with fiat rails in different countries, and then also ran a lot of the M&A. So did, through a combination of build, invest, and buy, a lot of exchanges. I think when I was there, we launched, I think, I helped basically launch about 10 plus fiat exchanges in different regions, and then also we added about support of about over 100 plus currencies on Binance. Right, I left in the summer of 21, more I think for personal reasons. I think, and then but what I did with Coins is actually. Because it's one of those deals I think that CZ could have looked at. When I checked with him, and do you want to buy it? He's like, no. He's like, do you mind if I buy it? He's like, okay. so I went and bought Coins. And it's like, it's a small country in Southeast Asia. It's like, not really. It's not going to hurt your, global ambition, right? So we received regulatory approval in the second quarter of 2022. Right, so I put together a consortium where I basically led the acquisition of Coins from an Indonesian conglomerate that had held it, right? And then I basically saw it as an opportunity of what we were just talking about. Whereas, I feel like, these global exchanges are much more what I call they sit in the cloud. Occasionally they'll drop in some paratroopers to hit certain countries or land in certain countries, but to make real change and actually bring, a lot of these things that we've been talking about, you actually need to be on the ground. Right, on the ground, and actually be connected with not just the users, but actually with the existing financial rails. Because one thing that I believe in is that, and something that CZ said when I first joined Binance was why I was working on, one of the things that he pitched me was 99.999% of the world's money are in fiat, right? And only a tiny little percentage are in crypto today, right? And the biggest pain point for everyone in the world in terms of accessing crypto, I think, is still sort of that fiat experience. Right, so sort of the value that we want to bring through Coins is to make basically this fiat experience both better, right, but then also to be able to onboard more users, right? But then because you have a lot of product that's being built, I think, in the crypto world, right? But the thing is that most people sort of in the fiat world don't really know about it. Right, and then you can only do that by basically being, on the ground, be able to be connected to their existing banks and payment providers, to be able to bridge that money over.
Wei, though, I have just a philosophical question, which is some of the people we've spoken to here over this today have talked about the idea of kind of hiding crypto as much as possible, right? And that's the way, just making it feel like a financial app. Others are obviously very focused on crypto is a forced change. So where do you sit in the Philippines? Do you think they want to know it's crypto, and does that help? Or is it more just like, let's just make easier financial rails?
I think for me, it's just like, you don't need to dumb it down for someone to use your app, right? You don't need to dumb down your services. Most people will come to your services when you have actually give them something in return, right? Most users that we talk to in the Philippines or anywhere in the world, they come into crypto because they see financial opportunity, right? Either to speculate in assets that they don't get to speculate in their existing financial whatever, or they come in because they see an opportunity to earn stuff. Right. There's something I'm going to talk about tomorrow is that we had this one user that I've been talking to that was an OFW. So he's a Philippine overseas worker that's been working in Saudi Arabia for 10 years, right? Not the easiest place to work as a domestic worker, but anyhow. But he joined a community called Turbo. It's one of the meme coins. He joined them as a community lead for them. Right, and he's been actively promoting it. And then I got a message from him from last week. He's like, I didn't know that he was an OFW. I just knew him from this token. Right? It's a token that we're listing. I'm talking about promoting it. And he says, by the way, I'm coming back to the Philippines next week. I was like, cool, let's hang out, let's meet up. He's like, where are you now? He's like, I'm an OFW in Saudi Arabia. I'm returning to the Philippines. I've been working here for 10 years. I'm coming back for good. Because through the work that he's been doing in crypto, now he has saved up enough, earned enough, and saved enough that he's going to come home and work on his project that he has in the Philippines now. So I think it's these kind of stories and opportunities that you have in crypto that you don't have anywhere else in the world.
And would you say in the Philippines it's more crypto friendly as well in terms of government and regulation?
I think I kind of want to break the world in sort of two places. One was I call it developed countries. I think developed countries in general are more hesitant to sort of just take on crypto, not just through regulation, just in general, right? But developing countries or emerging economies, I would say, are much more open, right? Because you're basically, I compare to like, China, people don't really use PC that much. They're on phones, right? Why? Because they skipped they skipped the PC phase, right? People in Africa now aren't really using banks. They go straight to their crypto wallet, right? It's just it's just like, I think it's like, it's changing, but things may move faster, I think, in the emerging economies and the developing economies, especially on sort of like use cases vis-a-vis the more developed world.
It's interesting you say that because the difference between developed and developing world and how developed countries are maybe a little less or are more hesitant to adopt innovation, it seems. And with your experience at Binance in going out there trying to get the licenses, with that in mind, and CZ having, just been released out of jail, I mean, what was your reaction when he pled guilty in the first place? After you had tried to reach out to these countries, work with their regulators, and getting struck back anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think can't really comment too much from a personal perspective, because he's like, still my friend. But just in general, I think like, I think the approach to crypto has sort of like taken a couple of turns, right? If you remember when crypto first started, like I remember when I got into the industry in 2013, when I heard about Bitcoin, I was living in Beijing at that time in 2013, 2014, you can actually buy Bitcoin with renminbi, right? With onshore in China, right? In 2015, 2016, like half of the world's Bitcoin were traded on Chinese exchanges in RMB. Right. And it wasn't until sort of USDT came about in like 2015, 2016 that most of the trading volume switched from fiat-based trading volume to actually crypto-to-crypto trading volume. Right. When Binance launched in 2017, it was purely just a crypto-to-crypto exchange. Right. And that's sort of that cycle, I think, has come to, where we are today. Right. I think we're actually coming into a next phase of the cycle where we're actually going to return to actually be more fiat-driven trading of crypto. Right. And that's, one very, very clear example of that is basically you have ETFs now, right? Like that product is a boomer product, right? That's not a, but that's not a developing world emerging economy product, right? But the thing is that has enabled, you can buy crypto products directly with fiat directly in your, security account. But that's just for emerging economy. That's for the developing world, right? But for the emerging economies, like people in the Philippines, we got our license in 2015, 16. So people could have been buying Bitcoin directly with peso through coins for like, 7 or 8 years now, right? So, and that's true, I think, for some of our neighboring countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia as well, right? So I think coming back to the point about sort of, my reactions about Binance and CZ, I think they've done a tremendous job. I was there the 3 years I was there. I tell people I've never worked more harder in my life, but we felt like we were on it was a mission-driven company, right, to deliver what CZ called the freedom of money, right, which is like and sort of my take on that stance today is that there is freedom of money, but then you also have to do it in a more kosher manner now, right? You can't just sort of, because I think, but the thing is like in 2017, 2018, like people didn't know I don't think anybody knew what the rules of the roads are, right? You're basically going out there basically, carving up the jungle and then paving the roads, right? So, and he paid the price for it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Wei, for joining us. Appreciate your insights. That was Coins.ph CEO Wei Zhou. Coming up, we've got crypto news headlines with CoinDesk Daily and Chart of the Day. You don't want to miss it.